Hi, I'm Mary, a librarian and book reviewer with a focus on stories written for kids, tweens, and teens. Today, I get to share with you this book called Stealing Little Moon, The Legacy of the American Indian Boarding Schools, written by Dan Sasaway Jones. This nonfiction account takes readers through the lives of several people in the author's family who attended Chilocco American Indian Agricultural School in Oklahoma. This is one of the stories of families who were affected by American Indian schools, boarding schools, in the late 1800s through the mid to late 1900s. So they existed for about 100 years. And the intent of these schools was to erase American Indian culture and make everyone white. So, unfortunately, what that meant was that children were stolen from their families and forced to attend these schools, renounce their language, their culture, their clothing, and take on everything white. But in that process, there was a lot of damage done, not only culturally, but also emotionally, and that carried through for generations. So there's still damage being done. There are survivors of these schools still alive today, and their stories are finally being heard. So this story is written for a mature middle grade and up audience. If you're familiar with other scholastic books of this type, it really matches as far as the writing style and the delivery. So there are images in here that are scattered throughout the book. There's a good amount of white space, but I will warn you that the content itself is pretty heavy, so best for mature readers and also to have a conversation as readers are going through this book about what happened, how these families were affected, and how it continues to affect us in the present day. So this story is well written. It includes factual accounts from people who survived boarding schools. There are historical references and also familial accounts from the author's own family. So there are occasional positive stories that come out of this, but for the most part, there are a lot of stories of the damage that was done to the children in these schools at the hands of the American government. So as you're reading this book, there's a lot to learn here, a lot to unpack here, and also just a lot to remember and make sure that it doesn't happen again. If this sounds like a book that appeals to you, your classroom, or someone you know, I hope you look for it at your favorite bookstore.